Yeah, we are live.
Nice.
Give people a few minutes to join. I think we've got a few people
Where can you see the oh, is it within the little people tab?
up top. See that? And then I've got the chat open for the live stream as well.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Sweet. Thanks, Cole. Appreciate that.
Hey, Cole, how's it going?
Awesome. Well, we can probably kick off. I'm sure people might go back and watch this anyway. Kind of threw it together last minute. So, well, welcome everybody. We are super excited to be doing this as a big kickoff to our Shipathon competition participation. My name's Connor Haven. This is my pal Steven Dixon, and we have teamed up over the past couple of weeks to be. We're just because we're excited. We're excited about AI. We're excited about apps. Um, and we've teamed up in multiple ways. One of those ways is what we are calling Swift Intents. Stephen, go ahead and introduce yourself and then talk a little about Swift Intents, let the people know what we're about, what we're doing.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, obviously iOS developer, loving AI, Apple platforms, and all that good stuff. Been building apps now for a good chunk of time, but like right now feels like a really interesting spot in time for both of us, I think, and generally how the industry is going with AI. And like I guess the intention, without the pun, for Swift Intents is to be that place where you can go and become a lot more fluent in how to use AI in your day to day, but also integrate AI in pretty much in the way that Apple's integrating Apple Intelligence into their platforms, right? Not necessarily a chatbot that you go to, but like, where you're thinking about AI and how you can have it as like a key foundation in your app, and then obviously use that across Apple's platforms. So we're both big Apple fans, and I think it's just like a nice marriage between the two technologies. And I really love it this year's WWDC how Apple expanded upon Apple Intelligence. So with that in mind, we're trying to fuse all that together and try and make something happen with Swift Intents. And it kind of just felt like, a serendipitous moment of now's the Shipathon revenue cat, and we want to work on something together. We're already building Swift Intents behind the scenes, so this is like just the icing on the cake. So yeah, that's where we're all at with stuff, and then just wanted to obviously, yeah, share all this good stuff with everybody else.
Yeah, I think serendipitous is the right way to put it. Especially with the energy that WWDC brings every year. This year felt special to me just in the fact that it was a bit of an interesting year, but weird after the previous year, kind of some recovery maybe on Apple's part. But it was very exciting because I think there was a lot of reading between the lines with them this year about where Apple Intelligence is going, where Apple is going, what they're thinking about in terms of AI. And AI is obviously very hot right now, and Stephen and I are both very excited about AI. We're using it every day, probably every minute of every day, honestly. And it's just like a great merger of these two things that is really the future of where we see Apple platforms going. With Swift Intents, we want to be talking a lot about how our role as developers are evolving in this era of AI, helping people get caught up to speed. I know I've talked to a lot of people that feel behind or they don't really know where to start. And it's overwhelming too. There's new models and tools coming out daily. It feels like anyway. And it's moving so fast, and and we love talking about this. So we want to help people with all of that. It's kind of the idea behind Swift Intents. It's this platform of community and education and just helping you all like not feel behind or not feel overwhelmed or just know what works really well. We want to be practical with this because there's also a lot of noise and slop out there, and having been using AI literally daily since the launch of ChatGPT. At least for me, I'm sure Steven's the same way. Like, I feel like I've sifted through a lot of that noise pretty well, and we want to share that with everybody. So that's kind of what we're thinking with Swift Intents, what we're building behind the scenes. With that, we'll be launching more and doing more with that soon. But the Shipathon, we'll kind of touch on that now, but it feels like a really good way to kick a lot of this off.
Yeah.
And so we've got something cooking there that plays really nicely into the hands of what Swift Intents is going to be. And you want to share a little bit about that, Stephen? Our thoughts behind Ship a Ton and why we're excited.
Yeah, yeah. So before we start recording, Connor and I were like, "Oh, do we announce what we're working on now?" But I think we want to let things cook a little bit more, get things a little further along the pathway, and then we're just gonna. I think it's safe to say we're gonna open up like a private beta probably in the next couple of weeks. Probably before the revenue cards official window, which is August 1st through to September 30th. But yeah, so with regards to like, I guess, yeah, what we wanted to do with, yeah, so it's getting into kind of like the Shipperton stuff, because we had a lot of ideas, right, that we were bouncing around what we wanted to work on, and I think, yeah, it just kind of felt like the right time to kind of put across to kind of build what we want to work on. It's so hard without actually saying what it is, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But
That's what I get to
yeah, so it kind of put me on the spot. I think it's safe to say it's an iOS app. As soon as you start to use it, you're going to see we can put this on Mac OS. But I think for the purposes of getting things ready for Shipperton, we're just going to launch an iOS. It's going to be open to the other Apple platforms, at some point. I will say this: it's hopefully going to take you from where you are now to where you want to be, without kind of giving away exactly what it is. But I think because both Connor and I think we're quite humbled that we both live at the intersection of like design, development, product thinking, and so what we've done so far in terms of our UI, UX, it's solid. I mean, there was a reason why in one of the vlogs that I said I'd stayed up till like almost 3 in the morning or something, because it's like high energy, just loving what we're working on. And it was like we knew what we wanted in the beginning of the call, and then towards the end of like the couple of hours, it's like we had a solid framework. So it's kind of like if you imagine like sculpting something out of marble, and then it's like we're chipping away, and now we know the rough object we're going to create. And it's great. Like I left that not even wanting to go to sleep because I just wanted to start building. So yeah, and I think at the end of the day, one of the things I love. Sorry if I'm rambling a little bit. But one of the things I love is building in public, because I mean I personally love it when people share something with the hashtag build in public, because you're getting like that inside view, which I think like maybe a decade ago was just not seen, and only very few companies and people did that. And now just seeing that, and you see these products, and then you check in with these products like 6 months, 12 months later, and you see the trajectory that they're on. It's great, and it just gets you enthusiastic, and then it makes it inclusive for everybody who kind of have an idea of a product, and they don't need that much of a like there's not much of an obstacle to get into doing this, especially with how we can employ AI to do various things, which again feeds into Swift Intents. We want folks to not necessarily have any kind of development background, but we want to guide folks not just on development, but also on entrepreneurialism and just, I don't know if I've just created that word, like entrepreneurialism. I probably haven't, but like I've never used that before. Anyway, the point is take them and then get them on that journey and think about products and see how they can build, and just help them along. And yeah, and so that's why right now I'm encouraging anybody I'm kind of keeping my eyes on who's releasing like version 1 of their app. I'm like, yeah, just hold on like until August, and then ship it for Shipperton, because it's just going to be, yeah, it's just going to be a whole heap of fun.
that. I think you nailed how we both feel about AI right now, where it's that energy of like you don't even want to go to sleep because it literally
Yeah.
keeps me up at night thinking about all the things you can be doing and all the exciting opportunities that are out there at the moment. And I think it's a great time to be participating in Shipaton as well, is because there's never, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other shows' opinion, there's never been a better time to be building like any sort of software. It's a lot of fun. You can do a lot. AI does so much heavy lifting. With the Cole agrees with me. I think that there's just no barrier to entry anymore, in
Mm.
my opinion. And that's what gets me excited. Once I got comfortable with AI and like using it daily and seeing what it was good at, what it wasn't, and how to use it properly, I just had this like shift of like I don't feel limited. Like I don't have a lot of my imposter syndrome. went away. Not completely. I'm sure a lot of devs can relate to that, but a lot of it did in the fact that I didn't feel overwhelmed by any challenge or anything. I could take on bolder projects, take on bolder ideas because I knew AI could get me the rest of the way there that I didn't feel like I could do on my own. And I want people to kind of get in on this energy. Like it's just so exciting and it's like really empowering too. It's like cruising through apps and really taking whatever is in your head and getting it real, like making a product or whatever and that people can use and that you can use even. I see a lot of people just making tools for themselves because they don't want to pay for something, or just because they can. It's like, why not? And just this energy is what I'm so excited about to bring to Swift Intense and to Ship a Ton, and the app that we're going to be releasing for that is because there has never been a better time to be building. If even if you're new to programming or you've been doing it for, years and years, it's like this is the most exciting time. It's cruising through an app, like vibe coding your way through and just not getting blocked. Like legitimately, even at like my day job. It's like, okay, this is a very confusing bug, but Claude 4 is right there in my corner and it helps me think through it. And even if it doesn't have the solve, it like makes debugging so much faster. And it's just like, I'm not stuck for days on something really challenging because I can get it done in hours and I can feel confident in the solution that I produce in conjunction with AI. That it's just so much fun, I think, to be creating right now. And we've got so many ideas in our heads for multiple things that it's the right time to be doing this kind of stuff. And to touch on the build in public thing too, like we want to encourage everybody to get out there. If you've had an idea, if you've had something in the back burner or an app that you've kind of forgotten about, now is the time to be doing that. One, because it's fun. Two, I think because you could win some money with the Ship-a-thon. No, that's a good incentive. The three for me, it's probably the most important in my opinion, is just the confidence boost I think that it gives you having built something, having actually shipped something. Even if AI does 90% of the work, like you built that. That was like your idea and you guided the AI and vibe coded your way through, but you created something and I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like if you were a business owner and then right, you weren't a developer or a designer, and then you just hired people to do that. And we're living in that time now where you could get AI to do that as well to a really good standard. It's fascinating though. Like when I see AI like generate like UI and things like that, it's kind of like it's interesting because having that background in design and also development, it's interesting when you see AI produce these things because even for folks in the industry like you and I, we you'll spot bugs and things quite quickly, whereas you might not see that sometimes with if you're not a developer. Excuse me, and it's the same with a design. Like you might see there's some things that are a little off that don't feel right, but as a designer, you'd be able to jump in, and it's a nice, interesting. I don't even know what the word is, but like it's interesting. Like when you've got that tool at hand, and it's how effective you can be with that tool. And but the one thing I love about it is like some people have reached out to me and said, "Oh, this is what I build," vibe coding, and they've showed me this app, and I'm like, "This is actually insane." And a friend of mine, he reached out and showed me his this app. I'm not going to say what the idea is, but it's to do with like couples days out and that kind of thing. So I just did say the idea, but he's not launched it yet, so I didn't want to kind of spoil that. But anyway, but so he showed me like the Swift UI project, and I took a look through the code, and apart from maybe a couple of things, maybe like how to implement some services, my friend he's a web developer, and it was spot on, right? It was getting quite close, and some people might see that as a threat, but I look at it and think, wow, forget that kind of stuff. The fact that he's taken this idea from that to where it could be, and then that's going to be a business that can, flourish and that sort of thing. It's great because I mean, essentially, it's like how things used to be, where you'd hire a developer, you'd hire a designer, but I think now you're going to have people adapt and change with that, and I think that's the benefits of Swift Intense, where we want to take folks from that mindset, because we don't want anybody, not that we're saying people are going to get left behind, but things are going to shift. We're seeing it right now. Like, there's not a day that goes by where there's a post or on any kind of social network of somebody who doesn't have the kind of experience we have, but yet their MRR's like 5 figures, right? Or in 6 months, and it's exponential, the growth on that. And so, you know, what we don't want to have is folks like, boohooing AI, when it's literally, it's kind of like, well, do you want to saw wood with a saw, or do you want like a power tool to do it? And AI, I think, for us as seasoned developers and designers, is that power tool. So it's
Yep.
only going to make us go, our growth's going to go up. But what's really interesting is how you structure your prompts and how you think about what I've written about, and what we're going to write more about, like model context, protocol, how you can really build up that context with the large language model to deliver like a more, like, how can you say, it's like a better outcome than you would just do just like a regular old
Right.
prompt. So so it's kind of like, there's this, everything just feels like it's all coming together like at a weird, what's the word, like convergence point, or it just feels like this was, just like I said, serendipitous. It feels like, without going too deep, like Destiny, I don't know, it's weird. It's great how everything's coming together, and the game with WWDC, and I'm really grateful this year Apple touched upon more, like, went into more detail about uh, Apple Intelligence, and the introduction of foundation models. The foundation models framework was just that icing on the cake as well. But it's just it's great. It's great where we're going with all that good stuff. And then I can keep rambling. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
can go
feel
on
the
about
same
this
way
stuff.
about that stuff. It's like there's so much to talk about with AI and building right now that it's so exciting. We could go on for hours, literally. We
I mean,
have.
we have, and we already have.
We literally
Yeah.
have. But to keep this concise, just like if we want to share this energy with people, I think we've mentioned that already, but like that's really our goal. If you're kind of in the doom category of AI, like we want to help you not be in that camp. Just blatantly, I think that's the wrong camp to be in. If you're feeling in the camp of like overwhelm and uncertainty, like we want to help you get out of that camp as well, because you're not alone in that camp. But it's like I think it's this balance of we're still early, but we are not going to be early for very much longer. And I think like in the bubble of social media and in these like tech circles, it's very easy to feel behind and very easy to feel overwhelmed. But I think for most people, um, we're early. We're very early. People are like respectfully still using ChatGPT 4.0 and for everything. And it's like that model's fine and it's a great general purpose model, but there's so many more things you could be doing
Mm.
for better results, like context and prompting, and like all these skills that are new skills that are just very valuable skills, or what we want to be teaching and sharing about. There's a way to vibe code. There's a way to prompt. Maybe there's a few ways, but there's also a wrong way to do these things, I think. And um, that's part of where our app idea was born, I think, is like helping with these kinds of things. Not to give it away too much before we're ready, but that's the essence of it, right? Of like we're early still and it's easy to feel behind and we want to bridge that gap, I think, as
Yeah.
kind of the core of it. So
Yeah. I think, and to kind of like move on to revenue cat and Shipperton. I think, I've had the joy of speaking to Josh and Charlie in person, and I just love the energy of revenue cat. And last year I felt really bad that I didn't get involved. I was wrapping up some work and I was like actually about to jump into my indie dev journey and that kind of thing. But I'm so happy they brought it back this year and bigger than ever. Right, it's insane. And like I'm just really excited, because what I would love folks to take away, if anything, from you and I and this experience, beyond like Swift Intense, is that like what, 2, 3 weeks ago, this idea was non-existent. And now we thought now's better. We've had a few ideas we wanted to work on, and this has now just come out of like some of those other ideas. So, and then what we've done is we've taken that from ideation. We've honed it. We've kind of kept what do we need to release for an MVP, and then we're just going with that cadence. And what it is now, you're seeing. I mean, look, as with all startups and things like that, things can fail. I with the I don't know with the research we've done so far with the signals we're looking at, there's strong signals there's a fit for this product. So what you're seeing from us is you're actually seeing something in real time, like going from like here's a screenshot, now here's an icon, here's a here's the basic UI of the app, and so on and so on, and you're going to see something grow. And that's not just us, that's everybody involved with the Shipperton, and I just love it. I think more than anything, more than the grand prize and all that good stuff, is community and connections. Because this time next year, you might have met some folks, in the community. This time next year, you might be building something with those folks and doing the same thing. Hopefully, if Revenue Cat do this as keeps doing this, but yeah, it's just I love it, and just sharing that with folks as well. It's just because I'm wearing a Hacking with Swift t-shirt, right? And it's thanks to Paul Hudson's like knowledge and sharing across the community. I am where I am today with a lot of my knowledge, and building in public, being transparent like that. It's just going to help a bunch of other folks. Like there's so many folks since we've announced Swift Intense that have reached out to me personally and like, oh, I'm thinking of doing this. How do I do this and how do I do that? And it's like this is great. If we're transparent, if we're building in public and we're showing and sharing our knowledge, it's just going to be like it's just the energy is just back and forth. Yeah, and Shipperton kind of um, brings all that together, and yeah,
I agree.
I'm really excited about it. It's just
It's really a great opportunity to just get something out there. And I think like winning competition or not, like there is some life-changing opportunities that can happen from participating, I think. I've got, a few friends that are looking for jobs right now and things like that in tech. And at least in the US, it's challenging right now. It's not easy. And doing things like building in public and making your own apps and showing like if you're vibe coding your app, showing like AI fluency are all things that I've seen directly or indirectly correlate to helping people find jobs if that's what your goal is, right? Or just getting your name out there, showing your work, showing who you are, and showcasing what you can do. I think goes a long way. And it may feel like nothing's happening and then all at once. But like there is something to be said for that, I think, as far as the built in public aspect and the sense of community, just meeting people. Like there's a Discord for the Shipaton competition, and there's a channel for like finding a team member if you want to work on an app with somebody. Like that's a great opportunity to meet somebody and build something awesome. And then all the other great things about the contest, I think, that come with it. So it's really fun. I participated last year. I have my little participation badge
oh look at that,
from,
jealous.
from participating. And I shipped an app with another friend of mine, and it was a great experience. Like I did it to working a full time job, and so it was a lot to kind of build an app very quickly and get it out there. But it was so rewarding to do that. All the extra hours that we put into doing that, even if it is just participation, just the benefits I feel like got from interacting in the community and building in public and just building something for yourself, even if you haven't done that yet, is really really awesome. And we want everyone to participate. And if you're not even an app developer, like I have a friend who's a developer who wanted to build an app and just thought it was cool, and they were able to and ship something, and honestly it's really great because of AI. Like they just bridge all their knowledge gaps, and they have a fantastic app out on the App Store. And they just like did it, and it was awesome. Like it was really cool talking to them after it launched and everything. They were just excited about it, and so I want that for everyone as well. Like just this excitement. I just think it does a lot for you personally, for your career, for whatever. Like it's all good in my opinion. And just as a note, Steven and I, like, we've got full-time jobs and we've got families
I was
and
going to say this, yeah.
balancing, and it's like it's hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy to just stack more on top of it, but it's definitely worth it. So I
Yeah.
hope y'all would feel the same way.
I think to kind of drop in like a bit of a Steve Jobs quote, you've got to love what you do. Otherwise, any sane person would just give up, right? But yeah, doing this a long time, full time job, family, in my situation, three kids running about. The thing is though, if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, right? But yeah, that yeah, just for me, it's the energy, right? And it's funny because like waking up in the morning, I've got a bunch of messages from Connor like, "Yo, check this out, this is great." Da 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 da. It's like cool. I'm on it as well, and then I'm like sending stuff while Connor's asleep, and but that yeah, just going back to like the finding the partner as well. That's really cool that Revenue Cat kind of encouraged that. Because I don't know, I just get a buzz seeing folks' ideas come to life and they're on the App Store. Because here's the thing: building an app's one thing, but as you know, as we both found, it's afterwards. It's getting it on the App Store. Because depending on how you've presented the app in terms of the information, it might get rejected, and you might need to retweak words and things like that. One of my apps got rejected like 8 or 9 times because of the wording on my paywall and stuff. Maybe I should have used Revenue Cat's paywall. Plug paywall builder. But anyway, so yeah, and then it's like App Store optimization, and then it's marketing the app. If you got a little bit of a budget, to put into that, and then there's a whole heap of stuff that comes with building an app. And having a tool like, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or just something like that to help you with that stuff, again, it's just gonna help you as an individual, and it's gonna take a load of stress off. Because I remember shipping apps before I had kids, and then I was like, oh, I've now done the app. Now I've got all the stress of it going in the app store. Now I've got to build a website, and after building an app and being almost drained by the build and the design, then I've got to do these other jobs, and you had to do them manually. There's no like the website builds. I'm talking like maybe 2013, 14. There was no like website builds like we have today, or like AI where we can just say, hey AI, find the hottest trends in web design. Do me with a landing page and so on. But yeah, so yeah, I know this is a bit random, but if it looks like I'm like sweating a lot, we've got insane weather here in the UK. I'm in an office where it's closed in, no fans, no ventilation, so I'm sweltering. So apologies about that. I should have done a Connor with a cap on. That would have been better.
We should have just done this
That's
in
why I'm licking my lips a lot because it's like it's really warm and humid.
No, for sure. And I think too, like, even just like to be honest, like our landing page we're creating for our app, like I had Grok 4 write the prompt and I was like, leverage high converting marketing strategies, SEO, like all that stuff in this prompt. And I'm
Mm.
creating this prompt for Lovable. And I used that prompt in Lovable and we got like a nice first run of our website that we're gonna tweak a little bit. But like I'm not a web developer and I don't really care to be. I'm not the biggest fan of React, but like, and first and foremost, I just don't have the time to do all these extra things. But AI gets you there, and it's like it's great, and just do the thing.
I was going to say like before jumping into iOS development. So just to give a quick little history on that, since like 1998, like as a kid building websites, right? And then 2008 came around, Apple launched the iPhone SDK, wanted to do that, didn't know how to program properly, tried and failed for years. And then finally 2013, 2014, like that's when I fully understood how to like build software for like iOS. The reason why I say that is in the midst of that time and during that time, I was hired as like a web developer and designer. And so even though we might use like AI to generate the HTML and stuff, honestly, it's probably something that I could build myself. It's just basically saved me like half an hour that it would take me to write the CSS using a web stack, whether it's Mongo, Express, what is it now? I prefer Vue over React and then Node. Rather than getting all that set up and all, we just have something like AI just create that. It's something I would design anyway. So it saved me time in Sketch. It saved me time in an HTML editor just doing that. And so I get it when some folks are like, oh, this is maybe cheating a little bit, but I don't think so because it's just saving time. right? And that's time I can be spending on the higher converting tasks, the more higher impact tasks. And really, who am I like doing this for if I'm just, well, it's maybe my pride, then I'm going to write this out by hand. It's like, there's no point. It's just going to, for example, I mean, look, you could say, oh, I've got these errors in my code. Right, I'm not going to go look at anything else. I'm not going to go read some documentation. I'm going to just look and try to figure this out. No, you're going to get help. And that's what I love about, that side of things, and why I don't really feel guilty as much. Even with that web development background, like almost 2 decades of experience doing that, I don't feel guilty actually having AI do that for me, because it's something I already can do. It's just helping me with that. And yeah, so I completely agree with what you're saying. And Cole says web frameworks are like fashion trends sometimes. Yes,
Yes.
it really is, because I like, just with some of the trends that I've seen over time, it's interesting, like how we kind of come full circle. But yeah, and here's the other thing as well. When you do a project like in React, you've got like so much boilerplate stuff, and really you just need a static website. Sometimes, like so many folks I know now, even on the biggest iOS websites out there, without naming names, a lot of them are built as static websites, which is crazy to think about, but it actually, yeah, it's like really popular blogs they're built with like a static engine, and it's just a really simple, because it's a simple way to just do things rather than having this whole thing set up. But yeah, that's like probably another thing we can talk about at some point. But yeah, I just wanted to say that just as a bit of a prefix on that.
Yeah, I think too, like it's important to think, maybe to sort of wrap things up here, it's important to think about what your goals are too. Like for having AI build a landing page, for example, my goal is not to build the best website with the best tech stack and, all this stuff. My goal is to have a landing page to market my app, or our app in this case, and, get beta signups and convert to paid users. Like that's the goal there. And the ROI, I guess, potentially on that for $20 a month for Lovable, to put that website up in 30 minutes, like, is so high to me compared to doing it what some people might consider the right way. And I don't think that's the right way to look at it. I think you got to think about what your goals are, what your available resources are, and then what's moving you to those goals as quick as possible. Cole's got a question I'll get to in just a second, but I think like that's the way I kind of approach AI. I just look at the trade-offs, and like, is the trade-off pretty code and this tech stack and all this stuff, or the trade-off my time and my ROI and all these things, or actually building the thing that's in my head versus it not getting built because I'm spending so long on setting up my project the right way. If I'm trying to ship something fast, for example, like I think those things are still important, but you have to think about what the goal is. And if you're busy and you want to participate in this competition, for example, it's like AI might be the way you can do that. Might be the only way if you're like really time constricted or restricted, excuse me, like, and you can vibe code an app, then it's like, well, then maybe you qualified for the vibe coding award. I'm not a judge, I don't know, but like maybe that's to your advantage even. And I think you've built a different skill doing that. That's just as important. And I think that's kind of the way I approach the trade-offs when it comes to AI. And I just think it's not going away, so I might as well get good at it. So I'm not replaced by it. Like,
Yeah.
do you want to take Cole's question, Stephen, and then I'll
Yeah.
put.
So the question is, what would you say is the biggest challenge in what you are building without giving it away? Honestly, I'd say the biggest challenge is when, and I say this in the humblest way possible, when you've got the skill set, a broad skill set, and you've got so many ways you can actually build something and design something. And so, I guess me and Connor felt this way, where we would be talking for hours, and any of our ideas could go in a multitude of directions, like the multiverse. It's just infinite. The biggest challenge was refining what it is, because as you'll see as we announce it, it could have gone in many different directions, and it's about what we're going to ship with, what is shippable in, up until September 1st. I keep saying September 1st, sorry, August 1st. What is shippable between August 1st and September 30th within that 2 month time period. So the biggest challenge was basically condensing that, and what's going to be because we're using revenue counts, so there is going to be a like a pro, there's going to be pro features in there that we hope folks are going to subscribe to, and it's about how much value there can we deliver, because we don't just want to stick a subscription in there and then all of a sudden we're not going to get much. We want to give you loads of we want to give you well, as much as we can, whilst being high quality. There's something I've written about as well called SLC, simple, lovable, and caring, and that's what we want this app to be. We want it to be simple. We want it so you love it. You want to just keep picking it up and using it, and then we want you to get that sense of caring, that we paid attention to the small details. That's just the beginning, because we can then grow it. As time goes on, we've got a mental roadmap, roadmap in text. We're actually laying the roadmap out. Either some point today. We've already kind of figured a bunch of that stuff out anyway. That's probably what today's vlog would have been on my side anyway. We've been discussing about that. But yeah, so the biggest challenge simply is, I think, getting and condensing the idea, because we know what we want to build, right? We know the idea, we know what the end product looks like, but it's basically honing that in, having tunnel vision and not being distracted. Because I don't know about anybody else, but when I'm building apps, I have ADHD, so I can get very distracted very quickly, and my apps can just go in 20 different directions. So focus. Yeah, it's like Steve Jobs. I'm dropping another Steve Jobs thing in there, where it's like you've got to learn the art of no. This is a great feature. Oh, honestly, it would be great if we ship this. No, it's not ready. We're not ready yet. Let's just keep to this tunnel vision, this path, and then once 1.0 is out in the store, we'll then see when we can fit that other cool thing in.
I agree with you. I think focus is probably the biggest challenge. Like I told Steven the other day, I said, you have to tell me no when I get too excited about this. Because with AI, it's like, why can't we do all this? Is how it feels. But focus is important, and crafting the right experience, I think, is the thing I'm trying to keep at the front of my mind, where it's like, because we can do so much with AI, like we also have the luxury of spending so much more time crafting the experience we want to craft. Um, and I don't want to hype this up too much to the point where people are disappointed, but like that is what I'm thinking about when we're doing this, for the crafting the user experience that we want to deliver. Because I think like the app could be seen as simple, but what we're delivering with inside of simplicity, I think, is really valuable. And so crafting that and thinking about what the user is going to experience each step of the way, more so than I've probably thought about in previous projects that I've worked on, is because I can basically execute any idea that I have or that Steven has for this app with AI. What is the right idea, and what is the right thing to deliver here, and what is the right choice? Like, a lot of that comes from user feedback and that kind of thing. I think that may be obvious to a lot of you, but um, I think that's a large challenge, where it's like a different way of thinking about building something like this,
Yeah,
because of the tools at our disposal and limited time, I think, as well. That trade-offs are something that we're thinking a lot about, and what's really important. Like Steven said, the focus aspect of what the core elements are going to be,
yeah,
what version 1 looks like versus what version 5 looks like. And I tried
exactly. Yeah,
5 times, so Steven keeps me in line there.
and we keep each other in line. Like it's amazing it being in that position, and folks who build and create products, you'll hopefully get the same sense, and that is like when we're looking at the product we're building, we're seeing it and way down the line. And so what we're hoping is just, even if it's just a small bunch of people that just come along for the ride of what this is. Again, we're not trying to hype it up and, present it something that it's not. It will be, it's version 1. It will be its simplest version. I mean, we look at Vision Pro today, great product, but think about Vision Pro like 3, 4, 5, like just like the first iPhone versus where it is today, like over a decade later. Heck, we're coming up to almost like 2 decades now, right? 2027, it's like 20 years since iPhone launched. That's crazy. But look at how things progress. So it's like, and that's the hardest thing when you've got like what you might see might be. We're not saying it's super simple. We want to make sure it's a good product to launch, but where it will be at the start versus where it's going to be, and that's the thing. What we're gonna try and do as well is just, I would say, like, share that vision as in terms of our marketing as we talk about this and features that are coming. And like you said, with the feedback we'll get from users, that will kind of define the product roadmap. Even in my own products, it's been super interesting where I've had a bunch of features, and then some folks have features that I would say were down here. Some folks like there's a bunch of signal now coming through. Is actually that feature needs to kind of go up here and be the next thing that I build. And that's another thing Connor and I are really focusing on is that signal versus noise, wherein what's noisy right now versus what are we going to focus on and build today and get shipped for this. So yeah, like I said, we could talk till the cows come home, as the saying goes.
Because
Yeah.
Leo's
But I think we covered everything, and this is Connor and I, we want to do things like this, and as Swift Intends evolves, we're going to do more like this. I think, hopefully on days when the weather's not crazy here in the UK like this, where I'm like drenched. But yeah, where we just we'll pick a subject and stuff that we're going to build on. We're going to do vlogs as much as we can every day, and yeah, up until I think we'll just see how far we go with this, right? Because once Shipperton starts at probably the end of September, we might be in such a good cadence where we just keep doing this. And yeah, so we're just going to see how this evolves and stuff over time. But hopefully everyone's found at least some part of this interesting. It's been fun to chat though. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining, or everyone that tunes in later. We're very excited about this. Give us a follow on Swift Intents to stay updated with all of our progress. We'll have a page up for our app and stuff as that kind of evolves and everything. But we're excited for this journey. We're excited to be building in public. We want you all to tune in and be a part of it as well. Not to sound cheesy, but the Steve Jobs quote I've been thinking a lot about lately is like everything like this has been built by people that are no smarter than you. I probably butchered that, but that's the
I used
essence.
that quote the other day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's such a good one because I think like when I mentioned earlier how AI kind of eliminates that imposter syndrome a little bit. Like that's more true. I think even now because it's like there's just no barrier to entry in my opinion. Like you can just go do things. You can figure it out. You've got AI in your back pocket to help you along the way. So build something, participate, keep following along. Um, and we're excited to keep sharing our journey.
Yeah, I would say the last thing as well is we're gonna sometime soon, maybe today, tomorrow, but certainly like at some point next week. Either way, super soon, we're gonna have like a beta form where you can just put your email address in, and then you'll get invited to a private beta of our app. So stay tuned for that. We're just gonna share that across everything. Yeah, I'm super excited about that. Connor's been working really hard on that, and it looks really really good. So yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it from us, I guess. Yeah.
Yep. See y'all next time. Thanks.
Bye.